All right, hello there guys, and welcome to another design tutorial. And in this one, we're going to be talking a little bit more about type and how to use it when it comes to designing things. Now, first we're going to figure out what is the difference between a typeface and a font. Well, a typeface is a collection of related fonts that are put together. And a font is a part of a typeface, and fonts can differ in their weight, size, and style. So a very good way to think of it is that the typeface is the overall family, and the fonts are the family members of the typeface. So let us look at an example of this. So here we have this font here called Avenir, and Avenir is the typeface. But over here we have all of the various fonts inside of the typeface. So we have Book, Roman, Book Oblique, Oblique Light, and so on. These are the fonts of Avenir. And we see how they are different. Some are thinner, some are italicized, some are clearer, some are a little bit more slanted. So we see that the fonts have different characteristics to them. All right, so just a few tips when you're working with type. You first want to create some form of visual hierarchy. So this means that we're creating a sense of dominance and subordination with our text. So you want to ask yourself, who is the hero of your text? And what do you want your audience to focus on? When we answer these questions, we are then able to direct the eye, which is what we want to do. Now you also want to make sure that you are using fitting typefaces. So you're going to have to do some research on your project before you start using typefaces. So if I was doing a project on, say, like a Japanese restaurant, so I'd probably try to find a typeface and fonts that had more of a Japanese character to them. And next we have workhorse typefaces. These are good typefaces that are good to use because they can be combined with a wide range of other types of typefaces or fonts. A good way to think of this is that you have, say, a nice jacket that goes good with every outfit that you wear, or you have a nice pair of jeans that go good with any kind of shirt that you wear. So these are your workhorse typefaces, and it's good to have a list of them. And here's a list of typefaces that you can look into, put out by The Future by Chris Do, who was very popular in the design world. These are some really nice ones, and you may want to grab a few that you really like and make some of them your workhorse typefaces. Next, when you're picking out your workhorse typefaces, you want to try to make sure that these typefaces have large families or a lot of fonts with them, because this is going to give you options when you're designing. So here I have this typeface over here, Montserrat, and we see that it has all of these different fonts. It has a large family, and this is good. So that's what you want to try to aim for when you're looking for typefaces. Now, is this like an iron rule that you can't use typefaces that have, say, a small font family? No, but the more fonts that you have in your typeface, the more options you are going to have. So it's obviously to your advantage to pick a large typeface family. And I want to mention too that when you're working on a project, it's good to stick to 2 to 3 fonts per project. Simplicity is good. So don't pick 11 fonts in one design. That's just going to look all over the place. Stick to 2 to 3. Next, we want to create some form of contrast when we're working with type. And this can be done through, say, like the typeface family, like the different fonts, or the size of your font, its weight, or its spacing, color, or variation. And we want to avoid typefaces and fonts that are too similar. So here I have this example over here. Alternate Gothic, Condensed, ATF, and Demi for the typeface up here. And with fonts on the bottom, it's Proxima Nova, Semi-Bold, Italic. So here we see that there is a level of contrast because the typeface is a lot bigger and the weight of it is a lot heavier because of its size. And with the with fonts on the bottom, we see that it gives us another aspect of contrast because it is italicized and it's a lot smaller. So this is just a simple example on how you can create some contrast. So continuing, we have the anatomy of the text. So we have things like the serif right here, and the bowl, and the ear of your text, and the stem. We have ascender, descender. We have word spacing, and ligature, and the finial as well. And we have the cap height, the X height, and we have the baseline. All right, now I want to look a little bit more at the serif versus the sans serif. So what is the big difference here? Because you hear a lot about this when it comes to type. So the serif is basically these little curved endings on your type. And a type that has these is called a serif font. But a sans serif typeface or font doesn't have those little curved endings on the end. And this word sans in French, it means without, so sans and then serif. So without serif. Okay, so next we have kerning and tracking. So what is kerning? Kerning is the space between two letters or characters, while tracking is the space over the entire group of text. And you see it clearly in this picture here. Continuing, here we have the leading, and the leading is basically the space between two lines of text, and we see it here very clearly. Now, where are some places that we can actually find fonts to use? Well, I just put a few websites up here, but there are a lot more. We have Google Fonts, which has a lot of nice fonts, and everything on there is free and can be used. So these are where you can look for fonts. Now, be sure always when you're using a font to make sure that you have the proper license for what you're doing. I don't want anybody to get in trouble. So always make sure that you have the proper license. And I believe that Google, all of their fonts can be used even on commercial projects for free. But these other sites, you may just want to double check. So that's just a little overview of the fonts. In our next video, I'm actually going to do a title creation for you guys in Illustrator. So that's something that you can look out for. Now, if you like this video and you want to learn more, be sure to subscribe below and to click on the bell, and we will see you in the next video. Until next time.